I'm Emily. I live with my 85-year-old mother, just the two of us. Until 3 years ago, I worked as a pharmacist, but retired at 60 and have since been dedicated to caring for my mother, who has dementia. My father became ill with a severe disease when I was 30, leaving him with a disability in his lower body. As a result, I moved back home to take care of him while continuing to work. Before I knew it, all my friends had gotten married, and I remained single. My brother, Steve, who is 3 years older than me, started his family early and has 2 children. My niece and nephew often visit our home and are very fond of me, so I don't feel the loneliness of not having children of my own. My father passed away from cancer 5 years ago, and 2 years ago, my brother also succumbed to cancer. This led to my mother developing dementia. Being woken up in the middle of the night has become a routine, and I am exhausted from caring for her alone. One day, my brother's wife, Kathy, who lives in the next town, brought some food for us. Even after my brother's death, she occasionally visits and keeps my mother company. She doesn't help with caregiving, but it's very much appreciated. On the days she visits, I am able to do housework and take care of my own needs, for which I am grateful to my brother's wife. While she was looking after my mother, I hurried to finish whatever tasks I could. When I peeked into my mother's room, she was sitting alone. My brother's wife was nowhere to be seen. Maybe she went to the bathroom? After making sure my mother was in a good mood, I returned to my chores. After finishing the laundry and preparing dinner, I peeked into my mother's room again and saw her quietly drawing by herself. When I went to my room to put away the folded laundry, I found my brother's wife standing there. "Kathy, this is my room. What are you doing?" I noticed last time that there's no air conditioning in this house, so I was looking around to see where it would be most efficient to install one. She answered calmly, "I wish you had consulted me before entering my room," I said, a bit annoyed. Unaware of my annoyance, my brother's wife continued, "I really appreciate you, Emily. You always take care of Steve's mother, and I wanted to express my gratitude every day. So, I want to gift an air conditioner for this room. Thank you for the air conditioner. I appreciate it, but I still don't feel comfortable with you entering my room without permission." Nevertheless, I reminded myself that she probably meant no harm. And indeed, she has been a help. I decided to let it go this time. 3 weeks later, the air conditioners were installed, one in each of the rooms we use, totaling 3 units. My mother and I were full of gratitude to my brother's wife, who took care of everything from the arrangements to the payment. "Kathy, thank you so much. But wasn't 3 air conditioners expensive? Are you sure it's okay, financially? Don't worry about it. It was my decision." Seeing her smile, I acted grateful, but inside, I was worried. My brother's wife has always been a homemaker, and I knew she was living on a pension and the savings my brother left behind. Yet, purchasing 3 air conditioners at once seemed a bit unusual. This wasn't the only instance. Similar situations had occurred among relatives before. For example, my niece and nephew complained that they always went to restaurants when eating out with my brother's wife, growing tired of the strong taste. One day, my niece said, "I wanted to eat Auntie's home-cooked meals, so I came to visit." They were tired of the frequent dining out. I was concerned about my brother's wife's financial situation, feeling that constantly eating out was too expensive. Then, one of my nephew's children arrived in a brand new car. I was surprised and asked, "Did you buy that car yourself?" He laughed and said, "No, I couldn't afford it yet. Grandma bought it for me as a congratulatory gift for getting a job." I was shocked. My brother's wife had also given other grandchildren expensive clothes and bags, which was astonishing to me. I became worried about the source of my brother's wife's money. So I asked my nieces and nephews, and they all said in unison, "Grandma won again at a casino, it seems." I was skeptical about this explanation. Lately, every time my brother's wife visited our home, she would happily chat with my mother. And I noticed she had an increasing collection of brand bags and accessories. I had thought it was just a change in hobbies, but recalling everything made me uneasy, prompting me to rush to my room to check my bank book. Phew. I sighed in relief upon seeing my bank book was safe. However, just to be sure, I checked my mother's bank book, only to find the bank book was missing. When I asked my mother if she knew anything, she pondered deeply and replied, Now that you mention it, the last time Kathy was here, she asked about the bank book, but I can't remember the details." "Surely, you didn't give her the PIN, did you?" my mother said. "She mentioned she was worried about scams. I thought it would be fine as long as my brother's wife hadn't learned where the bank book and PIN were when alone with my mother. But there was also a chance my mother had moved it to a different location. After searching the entire house without finding the bank book, I decided to call my brother's wife. Suddenly, my mother's bank book is missing. "Do you know anything?" she coldly replied. "I don't know anything. People with dementia often hide things or have delusions of theft. Maybe your mother hid them?" Feeling dubious and stating, "I've searched everywhere and can't find them. I'm thinking about consulting the police." To which she responded, "The police? Wait, I'll come over right now. We'll look for it together." Shortly after hanging up, she arrived at our home. "Here, this is it." She produced my mother's bank book right in front of me. "Why do you have it?" Without a word, she looked lost. Taking the bank book, I opened it to find a shock. Since I had been covering all living expenses, my mother's pension should have been largely untouched, with a balance in the several hundred thousands of dollars. However, the balance now was under $100,000, with about $500,000 withdrawn in several transactions over the last year. What is this supposed to mean? She looked down, silent. Further checking the bank book details, I saw the cash card had been used for multiple withdrawals. "When you were alone with my mother, you asked about the cash card's location and PIN, didn't you?" "This is terrible," she weakly argued. "But she told me she was worried about scams. So I said I'd check the account for her. She must have forgotten." "So what? That doesn't give you the right to do this." Angry, she countered, "I've been taking care of your mother, so I deserve some of the money. Besides, why do you get all of your father's inheritance?" She was holding a grudge because my brother had renounced his inheritance when our father died. I remembered the past. When our father died, my brother said to me, "I'm the eldest, yet I've left you to care for our parents. If I had been more responsible, maybe you could have enjoyed your own life." He felt guilty that I remained single because I was busy with work and caring for our parents. Laughing it off, I told him, "Taking care of our parents is natural. Even if I weren't busy, who knows if I'd be married?" He earnestly replied, "It should be me taking care of Mom. But I don't think I have much time left. I'm sorry, but I must ask you to continue caring for Mom. Dad left no debts, so I intend to renounce my inheritance. Use my share for Mom's caregiving and living expenses. This might be the last thing I can do." At that time, my brother was in stage 4 lung cancer, frequently in and out of the hospital. "Thank you. Leave Mom to me. Focus on your treatment. We need you to stay healthy for the grandchildren." Thus, my brother renounced his inheritance. However, my brother's wife was dissatisfied with this and, over the years, visited our home frequently. ingratiating herself with my mother while seeking the location of the bank book. She claimed, "I'm not using this money for myself. It's being used for the air conditioner expenses and as pocket money for the grandchildren. And it's better to use it while she's alive than for your mother to pass away with savings. When she passes away, I intend to claim my share of the inheritance. As the wife of the eldest son, it's my rightful entitlement," she stated. I was stunned by her sense of entitlement. Furthermore, she demanded, "Since you don't have children, the responsibility of managing the grave and the land will fall to our children. As compensation, hand over this house and land to us." Her demands did not cease, and my anger only grew. The excuses of, "for the sake of my mother," and "for the grandchildren," seemed clearly false, and I suspected she was mostly spending it on her leisure. Realizing it was futile to negotiate with such a person, I was furious that my mother's precious savings were being squandered and filed a police report. A few days later, my nieces and nephews, along with their children, visited my home. With sincere expressions, they apologized. "We heard everything from the police the other day. We're really sorry our mother used Grandma's savings without permission." Each of them apologized profusely. My nieces and nephews promised to repay the $500,000 spent by their mother, no matter how many years it would take. A younger nephew awkwardly mentioned, "Grandma insisted I shouldn't hesitate, so she bought me the car. But I want to return the purchase cost. It might take some time." His child, already grown up, also apologized to me. Their remorse was palpable. However, I pointed out, winning several $100,000 at a casino isn't realistic. You should learn a bit more common sense. They nodded again. When I inquired about my brother's wife, they exchanged looks and hesitantly said, "Mom has become stubborn, and now we don't know where she is. But Aunt will take full responsibility." While anger towards my brother's wife bubbled up, they showed sincere attitudes. "I won't make you return the money your mother spent. But learn from this experience and grow into a sensible person." They nodded in agreement. I continued, "Instead of repaying the money, I won't pass any of my mother's assets to you when she dies. And regarding your missing mother, I'll report her to the police. If found, she must face her crimes." They all showed agreement. They understood the concessions I was making, which was a natural response. I had them sign a written pledge to this effect. After writing the pledge, one of the children murmured, "A grandchild of Emily's brother, Emily, I'm really sorry. Can we still come to visit your house?" I smiled back. "Of course. Spend lots of time with my mother too. She's always so happy to see her grandchildren and great-grandchildren." Later, my brother's wife was arrested. I heard she's become pale and thin in prison but shows no sign of remorse. Following these events, I decided to draft a will. Having no children of my own, I had originally planned to leave my assets to my nieces and nephews. But this situation led me to decide to donate to a welfare organization instead. And 6 months later, "How are you feeling today, Mom?" "Oh, hello. May I have your name?" My mother's dementia had progressed to where she no longer recognized me. As her care needs increased, I decided to place her in a facility. I also moved nearby to visit her daily. In fact, when placing my mother in the facility, I sold all our property. I never received an apology from my brother's wife, which didn't surprise me. But it did irritate me daily. "Your face looks scary. Smile, smile." Her words made me realize that I was on the path to living a life filled with hatred. Feeling a sense of crisis, I decided to leave my familiar home and start anew elsewhere. After moving, I informed my nieces and nephews by phone that I had moved out. "You still can't forgive our mother, can you?" they said. Frankly, I never want to see or be involved with her again. I'm sorry, but if my mother passes away, I won't contact you. Their response was, "We got it. We're truly sorry for the hardship we've caused. But, Auntie, we all loved your meat and potato stew. Even from afar, we'll be wishing for your happiness." Hearing those words brought tears to my eyes. These kids are indeed good at heart. It made me want to cook for them again. "I'll visit you again, Mom. Your smile today was very nice." Her words lifted my spirits. Now that I've placed my mother in a facility and have more free time, I enjoy taking walks every morning and evening. The changing colors of the sky and the feel of the wind have become incredibly comforting to me. Indeed, throughout my life, I've devoted my time to others, sparing little for myself, but I have no regrets. However, I've pondered whether a different life might have been possible had I allowed myself more personal time. Your smile was nice today. I remembered my mother's words, even though she forgets what happened just minutes ago, filling me with gratitude. Yes, because of who I was in the past, I am who I am today. I came here to start a new chapter in my life. I've decided to spend more time smiling and to live freely.